It is not clear when the Russo-Ukrainian war will end. Besides, there was no attempt to stop it. The warring parties actually fueled the conflict to widen. This came after Moscow said it could offer advanced weapons to North Korea if South Korea started supplying military aid to Ukraine. This was stated by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev, who currently serves as deputy chairman of Russia's National Security Council, noted that Seoul has so far refused to provide lethal aid to Kiev. I wonder what the residents of this country will say when they see the latest examples of Russian weapons in the possession of their closest neighbors, our partners from the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, wrote Medvedev on social media. Yoon told Reuters he planned to discuss with U.S. President Joe Biden how the two countries could achieve real results in deterring North Korea. He added that Seoul was developing an ultra-high-performance, high-power weapon to fend off perceived threats from its neighbors. Last week, Pyongyang reported testing its first solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile. South Korea, which is a major arms producer, has refrained from sending lethal aid to Ukraine, citing its policy of banning the supply of weapons to war zones. President Yoon's office insisted that his remarks to Reuters did not signal a change in policy, according to Yonhap news agency. South Korean media claimed last week that it had considered loaning the U.S. about 500,000 rounds for the 155mm artillery gun. Ukraine is reportedly in dire need of this type of ammunition for the conflict with Russia. One government official described the arrangement to the Dong-A-Ilbo newspaper as indirect aid to Ukraine, which was supposed to demonstrate that Seoul is a responsible member of the international community without provoking Russia. Send artillery to Ukraine. South Korea has reportedly agreed to help relieve Washington's artillery supply shortage, lending 500,000 155mm rounds as the U.S. sends much of its own supplies to Ukraine. The deal was signed last month and structured as a loan, not a sale, to prevent Seoul from providing military aid to Kiev amid its conflict with Russia, South Korea's Dong-A-Ilbo newspaper reported on Wednesday. The report, which cited several government sources, added that the loans were equivalent to about half the amount of artillery shells the U.S. shipped to Ukraine last year and 5 times the amount South Korea sold to Washington in December. Citing its policy of not providing lethal military aid in active conflict zones, the South Korean government insisted that the U.S. be designated the end user of the 100,000 bullets sold to Washington last year. By lending the latest ammunition, instead of selling it, Seoul sees less risk of ammunition being provided to Ukraine without South Korea's approval, said the Dong-A-Ilbo. The deal comes alongside pressure from the South Korean government to produce results for its larger ally ahead of President Yoon Suk-yeol's planned state visit to Washington later this month. In a worst-case scenario, the paper said, Russia might take retaliatory measures against South Korean citizens and businesses, but the unprecedented lease deal will allow Seoul to appease Moscow by asking the U.S. to return the bullets. Indirect aid to Ukraine through loans is the best way to send a message to the international community that South Korea, as a responsible member of the international community, is not just sitting idly by in war, without provoking Russia, one government source told Dong-A-Ilbo. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol indicated a possible change in policy regarding the Ukraine conflict in an interview with Reuters on Wednesday, ahead of a state visit to the U.S. next week. If there is a situation that the international community cannot forgive, such as large-scale attacks on civilians, massacres, or serious violations of the laws of war, it may be difficult for us to ask only for humanitarian or financial support, Yoon said.